Hey, good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson of the Ring of Hire Show. Hey, tonight, great subject. Employees don't quit their job, they quit their bosses. And we're going to talk about leadership skills. And you know the drill. I'll be right back after this. Hey, good evening, everyone. Hey, listen, tonight I wanted to talk about, I love this saying, employees don't quit their job, they quit their boss. And I did a lot of research on some things here and what people are saying, some polls and, different things about the leadership at their work. To me, I mean, leadership in the military, I come from a military family, Army, Air Force, Navy. At 17 or 18, you learned real quick what leadership was all about. Real quick. I wish everybody had to go to the military and see what that was like. But I learned a lot from there about leadership and how to treat people. And when I saw this saying, it's really true though when you think about it. Employees don't quit their job; they quit their boss. And I'm going to read a couple things here. And hey, Rob, this will be a good show for you, Rob. They say employees might join companies but leave their managers. Managers view their position as one of entitlement rather than responsibility. Managers define culture, and culture undergirds the lasting health and success, sustainability of an organization. And by that, it all comes down to that manager. They're setting the tone for leadership as your culture because they do everything for you. I mean, if you have some issues with them between the reviews that you're going to give the company, it all intertwines within everything. And, that's just one part of it. The other one was like, so why has arrogant and narcissistic leaders become the norm? Narcissism is mistaken for self-confidence and toxic leaders. I get that. Seem to be in control of everything. They're able to provide short-term results, but the truth is they leave a trail of destruction in their path. Organizations pay heavily for such managers with low engagement, high turnover, and reduced productivity. So that makes a total sense when you have a leader that doesn't really care about you. He or she wants those results. It doesn't matter about your team. It's just let's get these results. But it makes candidates, employees leave. That's the thing that's very important there. It makes the candidates leave for another job. So if you have that one boss, you really have to look in your management team and look at him. Hey, here he is. Hey, Steve. Oh, there's the man in Utah, and he's a great colleague out in Utah with Elwood Staffing. So there's my cousin Anne-Marie. Hey, Anne-Marie. And the thing I wanted to bring up about is it says the X factor of great leadership is not personality, it's humility. And what that means there is, think about it. Leading with humility means focusing on others and practicing servant leadership, humble leaders. Put that in perspective, it means they put people first. All right, so humility is kind of great thing to have as a leader. You put people first, so you lead and serve them. They admit their mistakes and I'm sure Steve and Rob, I know you, but you admit your mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with that. So admit your mistakes. Humble leaders own up to them. All right. They don't play the blame game when things go wrong. Instead, they'll hold themselves accountable. So if you have a great boss that's really taking care of you, and humility, that's what that's kind of taken care of. They care about people and they put you first. I don't know what type of boss you have, but you can probably sit back in your mind right now and think about it. Which category does my boss fall into? And it all leads up to, this one I love. It's called the Shape Shifter Mask. Love it. Top management puts pressure on these type of managers to change their principles. All right. Their style might not fit in with the changing culture. So there's a shift between the preferred style of behavior and what the company wants. The majority of the leader there will just go along. He or she's going to follow along, and they're not really going to worry about the people as much. They're going to have to tweak somewhere. Your managers, you don't know whether you trust or, honesty is a big thing, and loyalty. When you talk about loyalty, if you don't have loyal employees, you're not going to have loyal clients in a way, because they're the ones that are making you success for your clients. Your staff is all you have right now. If you're not investing in everybody, and if as a manager, some of these styles that aren't cutting it, this is where you need to speak up and talk to your leadership team about saying, hey, what's this person doing? What's going on here? It can save you a lot of money and time. And here is trust. Once it's lost, it's hard to regain. I'm telling you, and I believe that. Integrity requires humble introspection. It requires you do it. It requires you do what is right and not what is easy. So if you think about it, it requires you to do what is right, not what is easy. And that makes total sense, because as a leader, and you're looking after your crew, you got to do what you have to do there. But you have to make those decisions too. And some of those decisions are hard, but as a leader, you have to do that. So that's what they call a shape shifter mask. That's what it's called. This next one is, I kind of find it, be somebody who makes everybody feel like somebody. I'm going to say that again. Be somebody who makes everybody feel like somebody. And this I don't even have to read what this is, but it talks about a delivery driver. She always felt like people really cared about her, the job that she did, no respect, no appreciation. But then we were hit with COVID, right? Think about this now. And then she said, they stopped judging people based on their job titles, earnings, grocery store workers, bus drivers, delivery drivers, fast food workers, garbage collectors, sanitation workers. They were the ones taking us through the crisis, making sure that essentials survived for their health. So that makes total sense. If before, just a janitor or hospitality, you're in those types of field, entry-level positions, right? Be somebody who makes everybody feel like somebody. One more time. Be somebody who makes everybody feel like somebody. So now she felt valued because COVID-19 brought it all, because everybody else wasn't working. That is the most powerful thing I could say tonight about when I read this article, and it makes total sense. It really does. Then, a good manager, these are some that I know Stephen Farrell is, they share information and delegate. Humble leaders are aware of their strengths and weaknesses. They realize they cannot do everything, so they delegate it. So that's important also, because you don't want to have everything on as a manager on your plate. You have to rely on your team. You have to be able to show your team respect and honesty. So if you can show them, they're okay, give them some projects, give this one a project, give that one a project, right? And then you're going to see what kind of results that you're going to get, because you're delegating to the employee, you're trusting them. So if you have a manager out there that's just trying to do it all itself, see, I've learned through all this. I've been here. I was a type of manager like some of these. I'm just being honest with you. As you get older, I think you start to learn more and more, but you can't do everything. So if you're trying to sit back and say, wow, I did this, I did that, I did this, it's the team that you need to develop. And that's a very important part. So if you have a great manager out there that's developing his team, that's awesome, because if something was to happen and you were to leave, guess what? Your team would step up to the plate. And that makes total sense for that. The next one, they listen. They are approachable to employees, and this allows them to create an environment of open communication and effective feedback. To us in the military, when I first learned about leadership, is they told you what to do and you did it. Point blank, they told you what to do and you did it. You couldn't go like some of the workers around and walk out on the job, and you just couldn't do that kind of stuff. You couldn't just quit and say, hey, I'm not doing this. You couldn't quit. There was no way of quitting. You just couldn't say in the military, I quit, I'm out. And you could go out in certain ways, but my point there is sometimes you would always have to ask, if they gave you a task in the military, you could always come back to your drill sergeant or your master sergeant, first sergeant, and say, permission to speak. And they would say, granted, speak. Permission to speak. You were allowed to say whatever you wanted to do. The NCO would just sit back. You could vent, you could scream, you could holler. Permission to speak. Granted. So you had that. The military was so, you had it there. You could vent. But at the end of the day, when he would come back and say, no, you did what it was. But at least you were able to provide feedback. And that's what my point there is if you're a manager, you need to listen, listen first and then react. That's the most that I'm still working on. This is another one, a good trait of a manager and a leader, is they don't hesitate to give you credit when credit's due. And this one's easy. They appreciate contributions of others, right? They're quick to recognize and reward efforts of the team members. That, in today's world, again, I always hate going back saying COVID, but it's just changed us. You're giving them credit. Listen, if you're all working virtual, somebody's going to get the credit, but it doesn't always have to be you as a leader. I've kind of learned as you grow as a manager and a leader is give them the credit. Just give it to them. Sometimes you just do it. It makes them feel part of the team. Now, if they've done something a little bit, that they weren't supposed to, but you teach them. You don't have to go write them up right away. You don't have to get pissed off and ignorant at the person. Talk to them. You want that lines of communication period to come to you. So if you're in that office, you want that candidate to feel comfortable. And I'm going to give you an example of HR. I talk about human resources. Human resources department are not recruiters. They should not be doing staffing. So if you're in human resources, I always stick up for you. You should not be doing staffing. You should be doing human things, human resources. You need to be out there doing your job and saying, hey, what's going on? You need to investigate. As a leader, if a manager or a leader is out of place, it's human resources they're on both sides. If they really care about their job and do it correctly, they meet in the middle. So don't ever hesitate to go to your human resources department. Again, with experience, when you go through all this stuff, been there, done it. If I would look back sometimes, I would have gone earlier to the human resources. It can really, really make you stand out. It can make you stand out, and they'll respect that. And they're gonna go after the other manager and just discuss and hear their side of the story. So don't be nervous. Keep the lines of communication open. This one here, they are empathetic to those to their charge, which means they genuinely care about employees and they can feel sincerity. Empathy allows them to build healthy relations and with team members. Empathy. What's it mean? You got to care. You have to show empathy. You can't just be some hard ass and thinking that you know everything. And if somebody's watching this, that's a leader, that's in management. And I don't care. It doesn't matter whether you go up to the VP and up to, directors and presidents, right? It doesn't matter. You're a leader and you got to show empathy because your employees are watching you. They're watching you, how you handle yourself in meetings. They're watching how you represent them. If you're in a morning meeting and somebody says something and they didn't know about it and you didn't communicate it, they're going to realize what type of manager you are. If you're not honest, I'm telling you, they will remember this. It gets out, and that's what affects your culture. Your culture is the most important thing right now that you have to hold on to. So if you have those managers, again, you need to go ahead and start weeding through them and say, okay, listen, maybe this job isn't for you, because you are causing the company to lose money. Also on your reviews, everything, when people look at a company, that's the first thing I go to the reviews. I did today. One company I thought was great. When you have 500 reviews and you get a 4.0, they're doing something right. I mean, anybody can look at the numbers there and say to yourself, they're just not making that up. The next one is they're authentic. They are the same person in every situation that makes them trustworthy. Authenticity goes hand in hand with integrity. They are individuals with integrity. Integrity is the most important, I'd say one of the most important things. You got to be yourself. You got to be authentic. You can't be one person here. And again, it all rolls back, and you can't be another person here. You got to respect your team and respect each other. And as a leader and a manager, you need to really, really see what type of manager you are of some of these things that I said. What type of manager are you? Because if you're one of these, some of these are really good, some of them are not, but you got to step back and say, wow, why are we why are we having retention problems? Why are people leaving? There was a study, and I believe it was 20% that companies lose worth of the first year's salary, if I'm not mistaken, when people leave, because you have to go ahead and hire somebody. You have to get them trained up to speed for what they were doing. So if you're losing candidates or employees, good ones, you have to look into it. There again, that's why I like to say employees don't quit their job. They quit their boss. That's why I quit. I didn't like my boss. I'm allowed to say that. It's okay to be honest. He was an ass. But do I go around saying that? Just kind of did. But it's okay, because he was not a good leader. And I'll say that probably till I'm 90 years old. He was not. He was one of many that I had that was not a good leader. He should not have been in the role that he was in, and he was let go. So that was kind of like a relief to someone like myself. Is, listen, you've done everything right. You try to work well with people, and then that one person, that one boss comes in and just tries to tear everything apart. That's what happens. You lose good people. They quit their boss. Remember that. How many times have you said that? Everybody's going to say, I'm quitting because I'm making enough money. Now, some of that could be true. But if you've been with a company for 10, 15 years and you've left, something's wrong. Something happened. And as human resources and managers, you need to sit down with that employee. No more of this stuff, just fill out this friggin' review thing, right? Why are you leaving? That's so idiotic to sit there. You should know when one of your employees is leaving. How would you not know? They get quiet. If you're ever in a meeting in the morning, and I know these guys will attest to this, and you see that person just sitting back in that chair like this, just listening, they're quiet, something's changed. They don't look at other people. Their answers are short, right? That's a sign of something's wrong. There's nothing wrong with pulling that candidate or employee to the side. Maybe they want to say, hey, how you doing? I noticed you were a little upset this morning. That's all it took. Then let them talk to you. They might talk to you about it. They might say, well, I don't like how this is going. I've seen this going on, this. When you listen to an employee, you're going to learn. And that's what you need to do right there, because you need to say, okay, what's causing this friction within that team? Something's causing them tight. And I've been there. And as a leader, you have to still continue to go on, get your message out to everybody within the room. And you can feel it. You can feel if another employee doesn't like another employee when they're sitting across from each other in a meeting. You can see it. You can feel it. And you as a leader, you have to get through this meeting But there again, if you don't, I call it nip it in the bud. If you don't get a hold of that, that's what a big lesson I've learned is you need to go and nip it in the bud. You need to find out what's wrong, what's causing it. Because if you could sit down together with both, ideal, both. Not if they don't like each other. Don't do that. I did that once. Have them separately, and then maybe talk to HR and let them talk to you. Bring them in together. That was a mistake that I made once. Another title here I like. A title doesn't make you a leader. It's your impact and influence. And I'm going to say that again. A title doesn't make you a leader. It's your impact and influence. So that right there says a lot. And this here's another example. So you have an employee, and a couple of years ago when I had lost my mom, you had that phone call come, right? Well, you had your boss was there, and you had to go to your boss and say something. Right there and then, while you're saying I have to leave for an emergency, something's going on, and your boss says, "Why are you still standing here? Go. What are you here still for? Go." That feeling that you can give a candidate by caring, empathy, honesty, being a leader, taking over that position, getting it filled, why the candidate or the employee, or myself leaves, right? Don't even care. Get out of here. Take care of it. That goes a long way. And I like, hey, Travis, and Travis was in the military too, but titles are good for resumes. And he's 100% correct there. You can put anything on there that you want to. And it comes down to, again, I keep saying it, leadership, making decisions, listening to your people, and really getting the team to work good. Integrity, authenticity go hand in hand. This one here, Joseph wasn't honest with employees, even though his trait was sometimes unpopular with top management. He often took the slack for the team. If leadership is not authentic, then what is? So I kind of like that about the story about Joseph here is he knows management they're unpopular the way he is, the way he manages, but the team likes that. So that puts you in a position to where if I was two-faced, and what they mean by this is it's kind of like politicians, right? You listen to them, but you don't really know where they stand. And what I mean by that is they might say one thing here, and it's kind of just like an employee, and then say something else, and everybody knows about it, and they hear it, if that makes sense. And that's what kind of I'm talking about there. Servant leadership and empathetic approach, right there. Exactly. I hate that word empathetic. These big words here, but you really got to do your research on them and see what's going to help your company. 7 mask. This one here, I like this. The two-face mask. Double-tongued are they. They can sound so persuasive and so sincere. Behind that dazzling mask leaves the real intentions of deception. They're just saying, like, that's what they talk about politicians. You don't know how they're going to expose themselves, right? We don't take them for face value because we don't know which face they have on. That's what that is. The advocate, the 3 musketeers mask. This one here, I kind of like. One for all and one for one. Now, I kind of like that. One for all and one for one. And what that means are for me, myself, and I. That's what it is. But behind the closed doors, the opportunity, they prove everything they can and make yourself look good. But get that, one for all and all for one. You got to watch that type of leader there. And again, Travis right there, it all comes down to culture and all these different names and everything like that. It really comes down to, again, leadership. Why are you losing employees? Good employees don't leave. They're leaving for a reason. Now, as an example, I remember one of my former bosses a long time ago, and she had said, you can come back here in 2 years and everything's going to be the same. The same people that are causing problems that don't really get the job done, right? But you're going to see all these new people come in, they're going to be gone. Come back 2 years later, still the same old crap. Done the same way over and over and over. Nobody's broke that cycle. Nobody has said to themselves, well, Dave's gone, who cares? Well, Cindy's gone, who cares? Nah, Barb's gone, who cares? You need to care. You need to care as a leader. You need, as a manager in human resources, you need to look at people in a different perspective and work with them, talk with them, communicate with them, listen to them. I've always been told I don't listen as much as I should. I do. It just comes out later, But there were some weaknesses that I've had to learn. Listen, step back, then react. And it helps a lot. Let's see. Oh, this one here, the Iron Man mask. They scarcely show their true feelings on the human side. They think they need to have this public tone image across as cold, disconnected to their employees. That's like saying, hey, they're tough. They can make decisions. They don't care what people think. What happens. And they were talking here about the CEO of Yahoo. She was her policies on maternity leave and long-term relationships. But anyway, long-term telecommunicating. She had that strong, just toughness about her, but it didn't work. It did not work. And it all comes back to the culture. So all these things that I've talked about all comes back to this one word and how you're going to get and retain your employees, because the culture, when you put all these things together, it comes down to that. This one here, I like the Mr. Fantastic mask. They appear so humble and act down to earth when in fact they have an entitlement and superiority complex. However, their true colors are revealed in unguarded moments. Makes sense, right? When he came out of his office, there was an example. I remember once working late and overhearing a manager with a supervisor, right? He didn't realize I was there and openly spoke to her. As I sat there, I couldn't believe that this person I thought I knew was saying what he said. When the manager came around the corner, he asked, did you overhear what I was saying? And the employee said no, but he did. And that's the day it changed. That's the day the whole perception changed of his manager. If you're talking, and again, I don't want to say I've been there and done it, but you have to be careful, because as in a group and you're working with your team, if you pull people off to the side, get them in some private area, because other people hear, especially in a warehouse, you can hear, and then they're gonna be like, wow, they go back to their team members, they say this. Even in an office environment, take that door, make sure that thing is closed, soundproof, because I've seen what happens when it's not soundproof. People hear it, office people hear it. Then all of a sudden, you got your whole office, just everybody's going back and forth and back and forth. And did you hear this? Did you hear that? It does nothing good comes out of that. Nothing does. So you really got to watch that when you're talking. Let's see. Comfortable in skin. I don't have one. But how you treat your employees will determine the fate of your company. Again, it comes back to culture. In the present environment, okay, it becomes necessary for the organizations to have strategy for retaining their best employees. Your competitors are waiting at the door with treats and top performance, because today I was helping on the company and I reached out. I know we're two people that would really be a good fit that I've known for a lot of years, and it was for a full-time position. So I don't care. I went right after them, and I'm hoping I hear back from them tomorrow. Your competitors, because as you work in a team, and Travis will say to that, I know everybody on here will, is you're working as a team, but it goes a long way as being a manager. If you're a good manager, your employees is a lasting for a long time. They're going to remember you. They're going to say, wow, he was great. You know what? He just called me. I'll work for him again. They'll leave. And that's what it's about. You need to stop that right there somehow. So if something's not working when they're reaching out and they're talking on LinkedIn to people, they're saying, hey, come on over here. Because I hear a lot of people saying, well, this big thing in August where everybody's supposed to leave, I've taken some slack because I've said that it's okay, let them leave. If they want to continue to work remote, stuff like that, and their family's more important, go for it. But if your employer says to come back, that's the employer's decision. Everybody says that they wanted to get back to normal. Let's get back to normal after COVID. Well, normal was working in an office. Now, remote is great. and remote, you can get work done. There's all different opinions on that. But if an employer is telling you to go back and they're saying people are just going to exit, I say good. And the reason I say that is because you're always replaceable. There's nobody out there that cannot be replaced. Will they take a hit? Yes. Will they recover from it? Yes. Could you get a better employee from it? Yes. You could get that one person, hey, I'll take that job. I'm laid off, or I can do that job. I'm going to go right after that thing. So by you leaving creates another opportunity for another employee. And I say that respectively. I don't mean it sound like, hey, no, but work with your employees and see how it works. But if I had a candidate or employee coming to me saying, I'm not coming back to the office, I don't care, well, go home. Listen, we'll give you a hybrid 3-2, but after that, now you go. Just let them go. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about, because that shows leadership. You're not going to tie our hands back. If you're a leader and somebody's like trying to pressure you to do something, and like I've had that. I've had good employees want to quit, and in that stomach of yours, you're like, oh God, I hope they don't. I don't want to, because I have to figure out what to do. It's okay. I wish when I look back on different things, I would have done it differently, because nobody should have your hands tied. So to me, simple. This big exit's going to happen. Hey, we'll be right there. Somebody else is going to fill it. So just keep that. The couple tips here, and then I'm going to end it here, is, when I talk to managers, I get the feeling they are important. When I talk to leaders, I get the feeling that I am important. I'm going to say that one more time. When I talk to managers, I get the feeling they're important. When I talk to leaders, I get the feeling that I'm important. It makes total sense. So there's a couple things that I'm going to get going here. Smile when you meet somebody, everyone you meet there. When you go in the morning, if you don't feel like it, smile to your employees. Shake their hands, say, how's your night? How's everything going? Thank them. Thank the people for their service, even if they're being paid for it. Wow, that makes a lot of sense, right? But it's not always about big bonuses. Could help, but it's not everything. But if you just tell a person, they're doing a great job, and show them, it goes a long way. The same thing with let them know how awesome they are. Listen, if you're having a down day and your manager comes up to you and says, hey, what's wrong? You okay? What's going on? Tell me, talk to me. Change it around. That employee is going to remember it. And you're going to make the day change. You're going to take that candidate, I keep saying candidate employee, but you're going to make them think highly of you, because you're really getting engaged with them. And that's the most important thing. You're engaged and you see what's going on. You know what's going around on the floor, but you need to do something about it. Don't overlook it. Don't sit there and say, I'll just put it off till tomorrow. Don't. That, I'm telling you, that is just, as a leader, you will fail and it starts to roll down. Again, God, I sound like I'm talking about myself, but you learn through all the years. You learn what to do and how to treat people at work. You treat them with respect. You treat them with honesty, integrity, empathy. You put all those things in one, you're going to be very successful. Give them your full attention when speaking to them. And what I mean by that is, even on a Zoom call, it wouldn't matter. Listen, if you're on a Zoom and you're talking something upsetting to your employee, and you're sitting here with your, or your laptop and you're just typing, or you're sitting here, listen, they see that. I've seen it. I had an interview, and this is not a lie. I had a live interview Zoom with two people. The gentleman the manager was asking some questions. Now, as she proceeded to ask questions, she was just typing. So it didn't matter what I was saying. So I said to him right there, I stopped it. This interview is over. She looked at me like, what? This interview is over. You are not even paying attention to what I'm saying. She's like, yes, I am. You're sitting there on your laptop. People see this just like this. So if I'm talking to you, you're not giving that employee, give them that couple minutes. Shut the phone off. Put your phone down, right? Take them outside. Go outside. Take a quick walk. By doing that, you're going to give that employee they're going to respect you for that and not have to worry about everybody around. So focus on their positive qualities. Don't tear them down, build them up. One more time on that. Focus on their positive qualities. Don't tear them down, build them up. Star interviews. Yes, sir. See, Travis, I am not kidding you with that. That's the first time ever in the career with a Zoom that person was shocked that I said this interview's over. Because if you weren't paying attention to me then, you aren't paying attention to me now. And I was like, the hell with that. I didn't even care. You know, it was just, I was more angry at that situation than I was that I'd not even getting the job. So, but there's some of the things. Treat everyone the same from the janitor to the CEO. I hate that saying. I don't like it. I never have, because you label jobs just because somebody's in an entry level and middle management upper doesn't make you any different than anyone else. The way I look at it is this: the staffing agencies are very they have a bad rap sometimes, right? Even clients, oh, they're just temporary. I don't like that word. I like, associate. You mean associates, not temporaries. Listen, you can work for a temporary service for 10 years. That doesn't mean you're no different than anybody who's got a full-time job. You both have jobs. You are working, collecting a paycheck, just like that other person. But when somebody puts that title in front of you, if you think you're anything different, let me tell you, you got another thing coming, because you're not. That, it shouldn't even be said anymore. You work, you work. That's the best thing. They're recording for a calculator prescribed interview. Well, I'll tell you what, if they say that one, I hope they use that in an office one to show that this interview is over. I'm sorry, I just keep laughing at that, and I seen that lady's face, but it made you stop. Like, she was like, huh, how dare you? What? I'm not working for you, but if you're not going to listen to me, I'm not going to listen to you. So, but I would love for them to use that in their training. Hey, Bill, how's it going? All the way from Pittsburgh. He's always there. But treat everyone the same. Don't label them: the janitor, the CEO, the garbage collector, the warehouse worker, the electrician. Just don't. It's really, as a leader, I like the word associate. I don't like temporary in the staffing. And I always say that, because everybody says, oh, they're just a temp. Excuse me? What you do right there, and I'm going to tell you how you can stop that, right? If somebody says to me, well, they're just a temp, I'm going to say, excuse me, what did you mean by that? Well, they're just temporary. And your point, so what's wrong with that? It really puts that person into its place, like, uh-oh, maybe I struck a nerve with a leader or a manager, you know what I mean? Call it out. Call that person out. Like, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? Temporary, associate, they're working. They're making you successful as a leader. So as a leader, I've had a couple great ones in the staffing industries. They didn't care who you were on that floor. You could walk in there, you didn't know that this one was a temporary employee, this one was a full-time, because the leaders there, they trained everybody to respect everybody. You go to some places and they treat the temporary, I say associates, horrible. And they really wonder why they leave. I have staff for the top 14 companies in this country here, if you want to say big name companies. And there are some I would never staff for now. I would never send candidates there. And why do I feel that way? Because you've created the culture that I would not want to send one of my employees to. Why would I want to send them to somewhere that they were just going to be treated like a temp, if you want to say? I hate that word again. Don't do it. That's what's hurting you. When you go out and right now, today's days, and I'm going to go off topic here, I know it, but when you go out to a huge team, 100 of them are working in the warehouse, right? And you go up to your on and say, hey, listen, all the temporaries got to go home. Do you know what that does? Do you know what that does? Now, what I'm going to tell you what it does. It's going to mean you send 15 of them home. 8 of them are only coming back. Those other ones that went, they are going to have such a negative feeling about this company. And it's going to get out in reviews. You always wonder why your reviews, reviews. That's where it comes from. In today's world, if I was in a situation right now, and I know how logistics and everybody are, I would take that scenario. I would ask people voluntarily if they wanted to go home as a leader, because then you're giving them the option. Hey, you want to go home? It's a Friday. Whew, they're out the door, right? The employees are out the door. It's no difference in an office environment. Hey, would you like to go home Friday? We're just cutting back or something. You'll get it. If not, give them a broom. I would always say, man, give them something to do, because it's going to cost you, it's going to cost the company to send 10 people home more than it is when you got to rehire all of them again, and you got to do all the drug screens again. You got to do all the background checks again. You're going to make all the phone calls again. You're going to get all the emails all again. Monday morning, you're going to get calls. Where the hell my candidates are? Then you're going to sit there, staffing company after staffing company. You got 4 of them going back and forth. Oh man, get your whole freaking team together. So you better get those people over there. That's a bigger company. But you see my point? My point is that's what it causes. It causes stress. It causes stress. You can tell I've been in the high volume staffing, but it works. Treat the temporary staff with respect, and you're going to see where it goes. Sorry, I went off subject. Be kind always. It costs nothing, but it can mean everything to someone else. One more time, we're going to read that, and that's it. Be kind always. It costs nothing, but it can mean everything to someone else. Just think about that. And then this is my favorite saying. I really like this one also. Is you have 2 options when you meet someone. All right. You can make them feel better or worse off. I prefer to make everyone I come in contact with feel better, because life is too short for everything else. So on that note, I'm going to read it once more. You have 2 options when you meet someone. You can make them feel better or worse off. I prefer to make everyone I come in contact with feel better. Life is too short. So I want to thank everybody tonight. Hey, Don, I see Don Victor's there. I just saw you there. And Bill and Travis and Emery, Steve, Rob, thank you for always coming on the show. And I look forward to this every night. It's going to be a long night here. I still got some work to do. So on that note, see you all soon.